When the sun sets, it's time for the top stories from the day. Good evening and welcome to Sunset News on this Tuesday evening. As always, we bring you news, community stories, economics, weather, sports, and so much more. I am Glenora Shipura. Starting us off in our top stories, 33-year-old Thomas Shea, who allegedly killed his two children by twisting their necks on Sunday night at Onkani village in the Omantele constituency of the Oshokoto region, was denied bail following his first court appearance at the Ondangwa Magistrates Court earlier today. The suspect is facing 2 counts of murder for allegedly killing his son, Andreas Shea, age 2, and daughter Rusa Shea, age 4. He was not asked to plead but informed the court that he would not for a government-funded lawyer. He would rather opt for a government-funded lawyer. Magistrate Nelau France denied him bail and postponed the case to the 23rd of March 2026 as post-mortem results are pending and due to public interest and the early stages of investigations. Details surrounding the murders remain unclear, but preliminary investigations revealed that the suspect, the biological father, returned home on Friday from Windhoek with his 2 children. On Sunday afternoon, he took the children out, claiming to escort them to the gravel road for pickup. His crimes came to light after he sent text messages to family members and the children's mother, revealing that he had killed them and that their bodies were lying next to the Namea water point. After committing the gruesome act, Shea allegedly fled the scene but handed himself over to police at Okatope on Monday morning and was arrested. The state prosecutor, Justin Shiweda, objected to bail being granted as witness statements still need to be collected. Shiweda also objected to bail due to the seriousness of the crime, the public interest, and the fear of interference with investigations, adding that it would not be in the interest of the administration of justice for accused to be released on bail. Shea has been remanded in custody. Moving on to our next story, the Anti-Corruption Commissioner's lead investigator in the Namco Anaccord fraud case, Oberti Inabao, yesterday testified before Magistrate Olga Muharukwa that senior NAMCO officials alongside Anaccord Namibia attempted to fraudulently acquire petroleum storage facilities owned by the Defense Ministry. I'm sorry, but it was actually today that he testified. Inabao testified that on the very day the asset purchase agreement was signed, Cornelius Velemse, who's 52, through his company Parkwood Petroleum, pocketed $150,000, which investigators believe was a kickback linked to the deal. He further explained that the payment formed part of a wider web of transactions in which NAMCO channeled $53 million to Anaccord Namibia, with millions then diverted to various entities connected to Anaccord and its associates. According to Inabao, $35 million of that amount was immediately rerouted back to NAMCO to settle Anaccord's ballooning debt, which had already exceeded the agreed credit limit. The remaining $18 million was dispersed to several companies, including more than $3.6 million sent to Onyeka Clearing and Forwarding, owned by Malakia and Lydia Elindi. Kavango East population has surged by 43% in just over a decade, placing new demands on jobs, housing, and services. This was revealed this afternoon in Rundu during the Namibia Statistics Agency's dissemination of the 2023 population and housing census results for the region. The census shows that towns are expanding rapidly, with urban residents increasing by 67.4% since 2011. For the first time, half of the region's population now lives in urban areas, a significant shift for a region long associated with rural settlements and traditional lifestyles. Rundu remains Namibia's second most populated town after Windhoek, with over 100,000 inhabitants.
The town population only includes the population that are within the townland boundaries, while the urban population will include include everybody else. But I just wanted to highlight that Rundu is still the one with the largest, and there are also more females again, as I said earlier, like in both towns now, Divundu and Rundu. By constituency, so Rundu Urban, once more, is the constituency with the largest population. And if you look at the graph, you will see Rundu Rural is the constituency with the least populous. That is the least populous, just over 12,000, or rather 12,405 inhabitants. So these two, I think it's 9 times. No, it's Rundu Urban is 9 times larger than the least populous constituency, which is Rundu Rural. Followed by Mokwe and then Mashare and so forth.
Rehoboth Town Council today commissioned a street in the Block E area in honor of former regional councillor Losky Harweb. Speaking at the commissioning ceremony, Rehoboth Mayor Justin Kutsia said the event not only unveils a street name, but also enshrines in the community's landscape the values of service, commitment, and leadership that Harweb exemplified. He noted that streets are more than pathways connecting places, but symbols of the journeys of the people whose names they carry. Kutsia emphasized that Harweb's legacy will continue to guide generations, reminding the community of his tireless efforts to uplift his people, and that true leadership is measured not by titles, but by the impact left on people's lives. Have a look.
That I welcome you all to this important occasion. The commissioning of a street in honor of a son of the soil, a dedicated public servant and a respected leader, former regional councillor Losky Harweb. Can we give him a hand of applause? Because why? Today we are gathered not only to unveil a street name, but to enshrine in our community's landscape the values of service, commitment, and leadership that Honorable Harweb amplified throughout his tenure. Streets are more than pathways to connect places. They are also symbols of the journeys of the people whose names they carry. In this sense, the name of his people. And that still continues because Honorable Losky is still alive. And he must continue doing the good deed and the good work.
Did you know that you can travel the world without ever leaving your couch? Hello, Jambo, Salam, Sawubona. I am Soraya Mentor, and this is Africa Beyond Borders. On this show, you get to travel around the world to different countries, cultures, and stories that inspire. We bring you real conversations with bold Africans who've traveled beyond their home countries. It is all about identity, culture, connection, and a twist of fun. So, if you want to travel the world just from your couch, join us every Monday at 8:30 p.m. on DSTV, Channel 285, GoTV, Channel 25, and you can stream on oneup2.com. Join along.
Getting into our community talk, Namibian Heritage Week was launched in Swakopmund and Lüderitz yesterday with the theme Torch Bearers of Our Heritage, calling on Namibians to pass traditions, culture and stories to future generations while also celebrating iconic landmarks as symbols of identity. Swakopmund Deputy Mayor Soma Kautondokwa said the event carried a message of continuity. We are the torch bearers of our heritage. This year reminds us of our responsibility to carry forward the wisdom, traditions and cultural treasures entrusted to us by our forebearers. As torch bearers, we are not only preserving the past, but also ensuring that future generations inherit a legacy that is alive, vibrant and inspiring, she said. Now, the Chief Education Officer in the Erongo Directorate, Helena Asino, said heritage preservation was not the duty of a few. Asino urged both elders and young people to participate in cultural exchange and highlighted the role of schools in promoting indigenous languages, music, storytelling and the arts. Erongo Governor Natalia Rojas described the torch as a symbol of responsibility and effort. During the opening in Lüderitz, Helke Moke, chairperson of the Namibian Heritage Week 2025 team, reminded attendees that heritage is not a relic of the past. It is a living, breathing force carried forward by all Namibians. This week is not just about museums or monuments. It's about the stories we tell, the languages we speak, the food we prepare, the songs we sing, and the landscapes we cherish. It's about us, our identity, our pride, and our shared future, she said. Moke challenged Namibians to recognize the value of everyday language. And tradition. And community councillor Bridget Frederick said Heritage Week offers Namibians the chance to honor the wisdom of their ancestors, appreciate the diversity that enriches their society, and reflects on the values that bind them together. All right, before we move over to our economic news, don't forget that ShopRite is celebrating its 35th anniversary. ShopRite is giving away 3,500 Namibian dollars in ShopRite vouchers to 35 lucky winners. That's 7 winners every week for the whole month of September. You can join by simply scanning the QR code on the screen and following the instructions. To stick around on the other side of this for economic news. Getting into economic news, the Agricultural Bank of Namibia has won back more than 11.5 million Namibian dollars in outstanding loans from the bank's ex-board chairperson and northern-based businessman Michael Iyambo through a summary judgment. The case brought before the High Court by the bank in July 2021 sought to recover funds from Iyambo and his companies, Oshikoto Fruit and Vegetables and Concordia Farming, also listed as defendants. Subsequently, Agribank sought summary judgment to expedite the recovery of the debt without the need for a full trial. In his defense, Iyambo, through his lawyer, Himekwa Ketishere, did not dispute owing the money. They argued that the debt had previously been settled through a board resolution and related correspondence, which Iyambo claimed constituted a compromise or novation. However, in the ruling delivered on Tuesday, acting judge Dion Obes maintained that the correspondence Iyambo relied on did not amount to a valid settlement, compromise or novation. In my considered view, the opposing affidavit has not established a settlement agreement as contended by the defendants, Iyambo. Court records also show that Agribank initially approached the court in 2022 demanding 55.8 million Namibian dollars from Iyambo and his businesses. At the time, Agribank sought to have the 3,241 hectare Concordia farm declared executable, along with movable assets such as tractors, irrigation equipment, and a solar system. The claim has since been revised to just over $20 million in the current amended particulars of claim. All loans bear variable compound interest ranging from 8% to 8.25% per annum, plus an additional 2% rate determined by Agribank's board. In our next economic news story, Namibia's former Miss Universe, Michelle McLean, has been named top global businesswoman of the year in tourism and investment by the International Association of Top Professionals, with her image displayed last week on the Nasdaq billboard in Times Square, New York. The recognition follows her 2023 AOTP Lifetime Achievement Award for philanthropic work through the Michelle McLean Children Trust. She now serves as International Business Officer, North America for Gondwana Collection, Namibia, representing the country in tourism, trade and investment promotion. I'm excited to utilize this opportunity as a marketing tool for tourism, McLean said. It really provides a global international platform for me to showcase and promote Namibia as a destination and as the international business officer in North America for Gondwana's collection to further the good work that we are doing in ecotourism, conservation and community outreach programs. That concludes the economic news. We now take a look at our financial indicators. The Namibian dollar trades against the British pound at 23.60, against the euro at 20.41, against the US dollar at 17.35, 2 Namibian dollars and 44 cents gets you 1 Chinese yuan. On the commodities market, gold and Brent crude oil went up while platinum and copper went down. Brent crude oil trading at 1.11%, going for $68 and 49 cents per barrel. International news. Malawi started voting today in an election pitting President Lazarus Chakwera against his predecessor Peter Mutharika, with sky-high inflation and food prices at the top of the voters' minds. Another 15 candidates, including former President Joyce Banda, are also contesting the presidency, but analysts expect a two-horse race between Chakwera, who's 70, and Mutharika, age 85. If no one secures over 50% of the vote, there will be a second round. Malawi has faced economic stagnation since former pastor Chakwera was elected in 2020, with a devastating cyclone and a regional drought wiping out crops and worsening hardship. Inflation has been over 20% for more than 3 years. My worst experience has to do with prices of goods that keep rising. I have voted in the hope that the next president will do something about our economy, said Mazaza Msika, a 50-year-old man in the Ndiranda township who said he lost his job during the COVID-19 pandemic and hasn't found work since. Polls opened at 6 a.m. local time, with delays at some stations due to problems with the biometric fingerprint readers. The country of around 22 million people is also voting for members of parliament and local councillors. Corruption scandals have contributed to disillusionment with both Chakwera's Malawi Congress Party and Mutharika's Democratic Progress Party. Chakwera came to office accusing Mutharika's government of rampant corruption, but his handling of cases has been criticized as selective and slow. That concludes our international news. We now swing over to the weather predictions for tomorrow. Cathedral City can expect a minimum of 14 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 30 degrees Celsius with partly cloudy conditions, while Katima Mulilo can expect a minimum of 19 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 39 degrees Celsius with sunny weather conditions. Aramsley can expect a minimum of 9 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 23 degrees Celsius with partly cloudy conditions, while Hendy's Bay can expect a minimum of 11 degrees Celsius and a maximum of 18 degrees Celsius with sunny weather conditions. Now we dive into the world of sports, courtesy of Sports Rep.
Good day everyone, time for international sports news, and starting off with cycling news first. It is cycling governing body, that is the UCI, has questioned Spain's ability to safely host a major sporting event, and that is after the final stage of the Vuelta España cycling tour was abandoned on Sunday. That was when riders were stopped 60 kilometers short of the finish line. That is after pro-Palestine protesters knocked down barriers and occupied the road on their way, and it is in protest of Israel a Premier Tech team that cycled in the tour, and it happened throughout all of the 21 stages, and the UCI accused the Spanish government of using the tour for political purposes, and it is the Prime Minister of Spain, Mr. Pedro Sanchez, that publicly said that he admired the protesters, so there was not much protection also from police and authorities throughout the tour. In the end, it was Jonas Vingegaard of Denmark that was declared the winner. He was the leader going into the 21st and last stage. Continuing international sports news with rugby news from the World Cup, Women's World Cup in England, and this weekend it will be the semi-finals, and the news from the World Cup is that the French player Axel Berthomeu, she was banned for 12 matches, and that is after being cited for biting a player from Ireland. That was in the quarter-final against Ireland. The Ireland player was Iofa Wafer, and she's out for the semi-final. That is Berthomeu. She's out of the semi-final against England. That is this coming Saturday. The other semi-final will be this coming Friday, and that is when New Zealand, the defending champions, play against Canada. And closing off today's international sports news, it is athletics news, and it is from the World Championship in Tokyo, and it is Armand Duplantis that won the gold medal. He is from Sweden, that is in the pole vault, and he also bettered his own world record for the 14th time. He won in a height of 6.30 meters. He won the event in a height of 6.15 meters, then went all the way up to 6.30 to try and better his old world record. In the process, he won $70,000 US. That is for winning the title, but also $100,000 US, and that is for bettering his own world record. Duplantis also won the previous two Olympic game titles. So that is international sports news for today. I hope you have a great sport day. We talk international sport again tomorrow. Goodbye.
That was Ari Hohad with the sports news, and with that we have come to the end of the broadcast. Don't forget that Sunset News screens on DSTV channel 285 and GoTV channel 25 every Monday to Thursday from 7:30 p.m. to 8 p.m. This has been Sunset News. Don't end your day without us.